and welcome to the coverage of the 2017 Nokian Tyres World Orienteering Championships from Estonia. My name is Catherine Bett and I'll be taking you through all the action from the gruelling long distance race in the forests surrounding the 7 lakes of Ruga. Orienteering is the ultimate test of physical, mental and technical skill. Athletes navigate the course using a map where a certain number of controls are marked. They must visit all the controls in the correct order. They also have to decide which routes to take to get around the whole course. There are a few TV controls where we can track their progress, but the athletes are not allowed to look at the map until the moment they start. Distances can range from sprint events at 3 kilometres to long distance events of 18 kilometres. Every control is marked with an orange and white flag, and runners show they've been there by registering with a touch-free electronic chip. The longer events take place in forests and heathlands and are a test of endurance. But for the shorter distances, the athletes head to the towns where running and navigation speed is key and every second counts. Every athlete is also equipped with a GPS tracker, which enables spectators to watch where they're going out on the course and enables them to see the route choices they've made. As well as individual competitions, there are also relays. The forest relay has a mass start and is run in teams of 3. For all events, the fastest time on the course wins, whether it's a mass start or an individual time trial. The time is measured when all the controls are visited in the correct order and the athlete crosses the finishing line. So first up today, it's the women's race, and we can see some of the top athletes. Helen Jansen in the pink hair, Sabine Hauser, they're all getting ready. There we have Natalia Gempele for Russia and Maya Alm for Denmark. They are making their final preparations before they take a bus out to the start. And let's have a quick look at the map that they will be running on today. They start in the far east of the map, and it's going to be a course of lots of route choice. So there's a long leg out to control number 1 where they will choose to go probably left or right, or they could decide to go straight, but the forest is very, very rough. Then there's a few controls where we get our first TV split. These ones are a bit shorter. It's going to mean that the athletes will have to change technique. Then again is a longer course passing some of these marshes that really define the area. There'll be some more route choices having to be made here. And again, some controls where they split up the athletes and hopefully to avoid them following each other if they happen to catch each other up. And this area is older forest, it's very dark in there, and it's going to be a test of the best navigation. In control 15 we'll get our second TV split and we can see how well they're doing. And then again they head down across the marsh and into some of the fields, and they will make control 16. Finally there's some route choice around some of these lakes. They will run through the arena and then go out for a further 3 controls, 18, 19 and 20, before running into the finish. So that's the course. There's lots of route choice. It's a very, very green forest. It's going to be very physically challenging, and we have an estimated winning time of 80 minutes. So let's have a look at some of the routes now. This is from start to control 1, and it's trying to avoid the marshes. Those will be the best routes, and there will be a few seconds between some of them, but the route choices, when they're executed well, could be decisive. This is Anastasia Rudnaya for Russia. She's ranked number 16 in the world and is making a great start on the time of Emma Johansson. Punching the control, going into the lead with a time of 14:38, around 2.2 kilometres of this 11.4 kilometre course. This is Maya Alm. She's already got 2 medals from the competition so far, a gold in the sprint event and a silver in the sprint relay. But she's not known as a long distance runner. Her best result was 17th in 2010, so it'll be interesting to see whether she can convert her sprint speed into the long distance. At the moment she goes 4th, 56 seconds down on the time of Anastasia Rudnaya. But looking very, very confident as going through all the controls. This is Tuva Alexandersson. This is the defending champion. She took a gold in the long distance and in the middle distance in her home country of Sweden last year. And she is a very, very strong athlete, competing in ski orienteering as well. She has a lot of strength, especially in the forest. And the time is good for her to overtake Rudnaya and take the lead. She was the second to last starter in this time trial race, so we know that there's only one runner to come after her, and we can see she's already overtaken Hausken Nordberg, the Norwegian, who's behind her. She's already caught her up out in the forest. There was some good route choices and good running from the Swede Alexandersson to be able to take a new leading time at control number 3. It's a new fastest time, and Hausken Nordberg goes 11th. She's been caught by 2 minutes. Here are some of the routes, though, from 15 to 16. And Alexandersson has got a good lead over Alm. Ranthanen's also looking good for Finland. And Natalia Gempela from Russia is also looking very good as she takes the slow route up the hill. And they're running pretty close together, but there's a little mistake from Rantanen. She's not quite sure where she's going. But here to split number 2, this is Maya Alm. Here we can see just how green the forest is and how difficult it is to see anything around you as she makes her way onto this indistinct track where the running is a little bit easier. And then she's going to cut up and find the next. And her time is good. At the moment, she's 2.5 minutes ahead of Rudnaya, and it's looking really, really great for the Dane, who's able to perform well on in the forest. So Maya Alm already got 2 medals. She's got 6 gold medals on the World Championship circuit already. She's taking a look at the map because the next leg is a long one, and she's really got to make some decisions about where she is going. But she's taken the time to make her mind up, and the route choices here are really going to pay off and win you some time. This is Natalia Gempela. She's ranked number 2 in the world and already has a silver medal from the sprint competition. She's caught up some of the other runners. Emily Kemp behind her going into 4th place, 4 minutes down there on the current lead of Maya Alm at this split 2. But Tuva Alexandersson is also approaching split 2. Not quite made it there yet. She's got one more control to find as the Swede looks very confident out in the forest and is just able to keep moving all the time, making it look very easy. She's taking a very close look at her map, which she's folded up very small, so she knows exactly where she's running. And seems like Alexandersson has had very good speed out in the forest. She's taken some good route choices, but she's also been very quick and is very confident running through some tough, tricky terrain. It's not quite the same terrain as they have in Sweden, but all the athletes have been training a lot in Estonia before these World Championships, so they've gotten to know the terrain, even not quite as green as it has been here in this race. The time is looking good. She's going to make to this control ahead of Maya Alm, and it's going to be a lead of 1 minute and 44 seconds ahead of the Dane. Again, Tova Alexandersson taking a long look at her map to make sure she gets the right route choice. But here to the finish, this is Maya Alm. This is the Dane who's already won some medals, and her time is looking good over that of Elena Roos from Switzerland. She's just under 7 minutes ahead of the Swiss runner there, and looking very strong as she powers her way up to the finish line, up a very steep hill to make it to the line and cross with a new fastest time of 1 hour and 20 minutes and 42 seconds. So 6 minutes and 31 ahead of Elena Roos. It's very good for the athlete who is known to be a sprinter, but we mustn't forget she's a good all-round orienteer. This is the Russian, this is Gempela. She is 3 minutes, nearly 4 minutes behind Maya Alm, but looks like she's going to go into 2nd place. Here's a great result from Natalia Gempela. She's got some great all-round speed. After that, got silver from the sprint, and it's going to be a 2nd place so far, 4 minutes down in the time of Maya Alm.
It's too tough.
It's too tough, she says. She knows it's very, very green out there.
I still can smile.
And someone who looks like, despite it being tough, she has enjoyed the race out there, but you can see just how tiring it is. But here's the only one who can take the win. It's Tove Alexandersen. She's been leading all the way around the course, and she's got just under 3 minutes to spare to beat the time of Maya Alm. And it's a very tough route up, but she carries the Swedish flag. She knows she's done it. She can afford to take it a bit easy up this final slope, but she does need to keep going and cross the line before she makes it. A great showing and a lot of respect for Tove Alexandersen from all the spectators here. She's had a very strong race as she's overtaken her teammate on the run-in, and there we go. That is the world champion, the two-time world champion in the long distance, retaining her title here in Estonia in 2017, and she is showing just how tricky and tough that long and very physical race was. And here are some of the routes. We can see that they have taken very different routes to control number one. Gempel going a long way round on the path and then cutting through later. Alm also choosing to use some of her speed to go round into control number one. And again, a long leg to control number 5, and it really sees them split up. Alm using the paths. In fact, most of the women using quite a lot of the paths to be able to actually run at some speed to get control number 5. And then here are the controls. They're more closer together. Alexandersen dropping out down to the stream to get to the control number 8. Alm heading out to the path. Each of them trying to play to their own strengths. Gempel looking a bit slow through the forest. Where it's green, it's a much denser forest and much harder to run through. There we go into control number 10. Not too many problems there, but Gempel looking far behind at the moment. The trail shows a 2-minute trail. Alm, again, you can see how their routes are not very straight. Just shows how they have to run around all the trees and all the fallen branches here in the forest. Again, out to control 16 and taking slightly different route choices. Alexandersen looking to take a good route choice, heading out to the yellow, the fields there, and gaining some time on Maya Alm. Gempel at this point is definitely out of the race for silver. There is a big gap, and then in this final route around these buildings, it is easy for Alexandersen to take the win, followed by Alm and then Gempel. Those are the final results. Alexandersen with the win, 1 minute and 32 seconds ahead of Maya Alm. And then Natalia Gempel was 5 minutes and 36 seconds down. There's some big gaps in this women's race, but it was won by Tove Alexandersen from Sweden, and they can collect their flowers. So the women's race has been won, but it's time to turn to the men's long distance competition here in Estonia. And it's going to be a long and tough race. Tua Lassen from Denmark, these are the athletes who are getting ready in the quarantine area, so they don't see the maps or any of the terrain beforehand. Then they were taking the bus out to the start. This is Daniel Hubman. He's already got a gold medal from the sprint competition. He's just relaxing in the quarantine before they get started. But this is Timo Sild. This is the best of the Estonians running on home soil, and it's a good start from him. 3 minutes and 25 seconds ahead of the Austrian Kirschbaumer, and he was 10th in the long distance this time last year. Fabian Hertner from Switzerland, age 32. He's wanting a top 6 finish. He has 1 gold from the relay in 2015, but he is a bit down on the time of Timo Sild, running for 38 minutes for 6.3 kilometers so far. This is Leonid Novikov. He has 2 World Championship golds from the relay and the middle distance, and goes into a new fastest time, 1 minute and 56 seconds ahead of Timo Sild. It's looking very good for the Russian, who we wouldn't have thought of as taking a good lead at the moment. This is Olaf Lindenez. He's already caught William Lind, and punching this control on his way to split number 1 at 6.3 kilometers, and he's looking like he's attacking this course. And indeed, it looks like it's a new fastest time for Olaf Lundenes as he runs very quickly through this control, passing some of the others, and that is a good time, 13 seconds ahead of the excellent time set by Novikov. And these were the routes that did it. Lundenes and Novikov both taking a very direct route, whilst Timo Silds chooses to run around on the road, and Kiberts again taking a different route choice to the bottom of picture. But it was Lundenes who got there first. But now we turn to split number 2 at 12.8 kilometers, and Fabian Hertner is still ahead of Timo Silds, although he has gained time on Timo Silds, and it's looking good for the Swiss runner as he checks his map very carefully for another long leg to come. He's got some route choices to make. He didn't run the long distance last year, but this is Leonid Novikov. His best long was 25th in 2013, but his time is looking good, and he's looking very, very strong running through the forest as he keeps his head down and runs through the greenery like it's not there. He's found this track though at the bottom of the slope, and will make his way back up again to find the control, and we'll get his time. But look at his time, it looks very good compared to that of Hertner. 5 minutes ahead, as just acknowledging the runner that he is overtaking in the time trial format. So a lead of 4 minutes and 56 seconds. What a lead from the Russian. But at the finish, this is Fabian Hertner. He goes in to take the new fastest time, and it's 9 minutes and 40 seconds ahead of the Latvian in second place. He's overtaken Timo Silds, who comes in second place, 2 minutes and 8 seconds behind. And what a great race from Hertner to overtake Timo Silds. But into the finish now, it was Novikov who had such a great start. And his time is also looking good as he jumps the stream and makes his way up the slope into the arena where the spectators can cheer him on. He's looking exhausted after 17.1 kilometers and an hour and 3/4 of running. But it's just a dash for the line, and it will be a new fastest time in 4 minutes and 13 seconds ahead of Hertner. It's very, very good for the Russian, who we would not have expected to run well before this race. But Olaf Lundenes is still running with William Lind of Sweden, and the time is looking good for him as he approaches split number 2. You see the two of them are, even though they're running together, they're still taking their own routes through the forest as they cut down to this track, and we can see how Lundenes is really being aggressive on this course, and William Lind from Sweden is just behind him. William Lind ranked 13 in the world. He's a very strong forest runner, but hasn't been able to put it together in a World Championship race, although he was second at the World Cup race this year in Finland. Olaf Lundenes, though, with a new fastest time at this point, 1 minute and 40 seconds ahead of Novikov, but he's still got to keep it together for the rest of the race. And William Lind has broken away from Olaf Lundenes, and he's heading towards split number 3 before the arena run through. It's looking good. He's behind on the time of Novikov, though. 1 minute 40 seconds, 1 hour 40 minutes and 43 seconds at this point. He still has about 8 minutes of running, though, still to do as he climbs the hill for the first time. And this was where Lind got away from Lundenes. Lind was much better in control, 21, and then was able to just run away from Lundenes. Lundenes struggling a bit more in the end of the race, not quite got the speed of Lind, but the speed from the beginning of the course is still enough. This is Lind, though, into the finish, overtaking his teammate Johan Runesson, and you can tell the speed in his legs as he's able to overtake his teammate and attack up this hill. It's been over an hour and 3/4 of running on this course, and it's going to be close to the time of Novikov. It's not going to beat the Russian though. He will go down into second place, but it's great running at the end of this course and being able to get away from the Norwegian as Lind makes the run up into the arena and the final few steps to get to the line and get the final time. The 17.1 kilometers are over, and that is the second fastest time. But there's still Olaf Lundenes to come, and his time is looking good. He's under the 1 hour and 3/4 mark as he punches the final control, makes a U-turn and heads back up the hill. Those arms are pumping hard as he makes his way up to the slope, where you can see all the spectators are watching and the coaches are cheering them on just further down the slope. And the time is looking excellent. He's got just under 2.5 minutes to make it up to the top of the hill to beat Novikov. And Lundenes leading the whole way around, choosing to go straight a lot of the time, having a very clean course, making a couple of mistakes, but on the long distance, it's important to be consistent most of the way round, not losing too much time at any point. So Lundenes into the final finishing straight, and it's a great time for the defending champion. He will become the long distance world champion for the second year in a row. 1 hour, 45 minutes and 25 seconds. That was a grueling and physical long distance race, and that is why people say it is the hardest of the races. It's so physically and mentally challenging to keep a clear head and keep the navigation up the whole way round. And Lundenes can't even celebrate yet. He is on the floor with some great support from the Norwegians. They will be celebrating tonight. That was an impressive run from Lundenes. So dominant and able to run through this terrain very well. This is how it happened. This route choice of going very direct really paid off for all three of the medalists, but particularly for Novikov and for Lundenes. Although Lundenes much better into control number 2 in this area of very vague forest. Then again, fairly direct to control number 4, limiting the amount of distance that you have to run. It's 17.4 kilometers if you go straight, exactly straight as the crow flies, but in reality they will run a lot further. Lundenes again ahead of Novikov. At this point, Daly is ahead of William Lind, but the two leaders very, very close together as they take similar routes again on this long leg through to control 8, keeping it fairly straight, fairly direct as they go past these marshes. This is where they had some of the different routes to split them up, so Lundenes has gone a bit further at this point, so he's probably still leading once it all evens out, and Novikov is going slowly up some of those hills, passing through the marshes. A bit of a mistake though into control 14 for the Russian, as Daly is still looking good, and then Novikov able to cross the marsh again. Looks like Lundenes takes a good route choice here though, even if it means going up the steep part of the slope and going to control 16. This is where the forking unravels, and they've all run at the same distance this so far, and Lundenes is ahead, and Lind has got ahead of Daly. Lundenes looking good, but there's a mistake into this control 21 where Lind was able to get away from him, and Novikov was struggling a bit more in the end, taking a different route into control 22. The arena run through, and then the final passage round some of these fields before going into the finish. So Lundenes into first place, Novikov second, and Lind third. Those are the final results. It was a 1 minute and 50-second lead for Olaf Lundenes ahead of Leonid Novikov, and William Lind was 2 minutes and 13 seconds behind. These are the men with the flowers. Once the official results are confirmed, they will get their medals, but Olaf Lundenes taking the win for a second year in a row.